Hello, friends, team. Happy Sunday. We had quite a week. A lot of travel time. Almost stepped on a rattlesnake. And in that process, I considered what I might have done if I'd had stepped on said rattlesnake. I think I would have recorded the last off the top. Would have shared that experience with you. It is pretty wild. I was running down the mountain, probably 2 miles away from civilization, was about to step, and all of a sudden I see this like snake rattling at me and looking at me. And I was like, probably 15, 20 other times on this run, I'd been looking at my pace on my phone or picking a song. And yeah, life is short. I spent the rest of the run kind of just thinking about, had I gotten bitten, having like a couple hours to get anti-venom, like probably would have been fine. But in the case that I like fainted or something, like, yeah, life is fleeting. Good reminder. It's all gratitude. I had like a little bit of a challenging morning, and that moment, I either could have looked at it like, holy shit, I almost just died, or wow, someone is looking out for me. So with some time, landed on the ladder. Here we are. We are in my friend's place. She offered it up for the weekend. We had a project in Idyllwild that ended Thursday night. I'll get into that a little bit. Very much so liking Venice. I think there's a really interesting community. I think the film community is also great. But welcome to another episode of Off the Top. I think this is number 18 of At the Table. This shit's just flying by, man. It is wild. I feel like these weekend recaps just sneak up on me in the best way possible. I look at this a little bit like a journal entry digitally. So throughout the week, I had a couple people ask like how I come up with this, like these topics and how I structure it. The easiest way to describe it, I guess it's not that deep. I just jot down thoughts that come up throughout the week or learnings. If I hear something that resonates or my mindset shifts in a way that I would recognize and want to remember, and just jot it down in my notes app or in my journal. And then at the end of the week, I go back in my journal and find things that still resonate or that I had jotted down, and then try to rip them off the top with you. Let's jump in. Learnings from the week. I had a conversation with a friend who is hosting a beautiful experience at her place in France in early September. And she was talking about the anxiety that came with hosting a big group of people. She's launching some new stuff. And we got to talking, and something that always comes up when I have anxiety about performance is the similarities between anxiety and excitement. A lot of times it's a very, very similar experience. It's just about how you frame it in your mind. Anxiety can pull on the same emotions that excitement can. And in your mind, if you attempt to reframe it, in my experience, it helps. So there's been times where I've had to give a speech or a toast, and naturally, growing up, that was something that really scared me. I didn't love public speaking, but one of the ways that I got through this, alongside just doing it more and pushing myself through those reps, was channeling that anxiety into excitement. And instead of looking at the potential worst case scenario, be like, what's the best case scenario? Like, there's 50 people here that I have the ability to speak to and potentially impact in a unique way, and got excited about the potential upside versus anxiety holding me down, thinking about what could potentially go wrong. So anyway, we had a conversation on that, and she noted that. Shout out Christina, really cool founder. That I think that concept has come up a few times this week. So that was a great one. Anxiety versus excitement. Another learning. Confidence is built when no one's looking. This pertains to training for the New York City Marathon. A lot of times you just see the tip of the iceberg, somebody performing on race day and achieving whatever goal they set out to achieve. But the real work happens before the race. I talked a little bit about this last week, the 2, 3, 4 months prior, showing up every single day, consistency, hard work, and like pounding down the door mentally to put yourself in a position to succeed. That also goes with business. Confidence comes from showing up for yourself and being disciplined when no one's looking. That gives you the ability to prep yourself for a moment that might arise. So you put in the work. So when your moment comes, you're ready to rock and roll. And that's only done through showing up, consistency, and hard work. So I love that analogy of the iceberg. Like 95% of an iceberg is below water. You don't see it. The very tip you see. And that's kind of like race day, or the equivalent of when you have your moment, you have your shot. What really supports that moment is the 95% underneath water. Iceberg. That's a good one. Challenges for the week. I have this lingering thought where, as a solo founder, I'm always asking myself, am I doing enough? It feels sometimes like I'm just floating around. Granted, like 98% of my day is structured mentally around work and like pushing things forward. But it's hard sometimes for me to gauge how much I need to be doing and if I'm focused on the right thing. Where I've been landing on that is like, if it's pushing the number one goal for the day forward, great, focus on it, especially early in the day, get it done. But I find as a solo founder, it's a little bit challenging to figure out, am I doing enough? That's the insecure overachiever inside of me, but something I've been thinking more about. Another challenge, I think, is this week I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome before this big project. I was looking at some other event producers that work in the world of creative experiences. And going into this event, I looked at their work and I was like, wow, like they are so talented at what they do. And I started like second guessing the amount of work that I had put in, and it ended up being a phenomenal experience. Everyone was happy with it, but I think imposter syndrome runs all the way up the ladder. Like some of the most quote unquote successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives that I've come across experience some sort of imposter syndrome. And I think that's a good reminder. Like a little bit of that, I think, is good because it propels you on your way to continue to work. But I've noticed some of the people that I've looked up to, mentors, have opened up at times about people that, they look up to that, make them feel like they're not enough or make them second guess if they're doing enough. So it runs all the way up, and that can sometimes feel comforting. But back to the iceberg, it's like all about just showing up for yourself, putting in the work, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, personally, socially, professionally, you name it. Sometimes, third challenge of the week, I ask myself, what lie am I telling myself right now? A lie that I think is inherent to me, that I've kind of carried my whole life, is that success will only come if I work really, really hard, and I can't have success without working really hard. So when I think about ways to streamline things, I'm kind of in my mind like, well, no, that doesn't work because I have to work really hard or else it doesn't apply and I'm not going to be successful. And that's not true, right? That's a lie that I've told myself for a long time, is like, you need to put in this 60, 70, 80-hour weeks in order to be successful. And so do it the way that you know how to do it, instead of being open-minded and letting new systems, processes, technologies make your life easier. And I think sometimes it's good to have that structure and obviously work hard. That's a requirement. But I'm thinking more about just little lies like that I tell myself, where, it's okay to delegate. And that's something that somebody that, I try to lead by example. And sometimes that comes in the form of just like working really hard. But anyway, I'll leave that with you. What's one lie that you're telling yourself? Last challenge of the week. So on this event front, we hosted a 40-person dinner, a bunch of folks in tech, music, crypto, a really interesting corner of the internet, speakers for this festival called FWB. One thing I noticed in hosting events, like one of my favorite parts is connecting people, but a really like funny and like ego-driven thought that I had is like, if you aren't the one that is quote unquote hosting and you're just producing an event, it feels way different, because as a host, you're the connector and you're getting validation through people connecting, and you're getting credit for the creative and, bringing all these amazing minds into the mix and creating a like very tangible experience for people to walk away with, hopefully moments that are like beautiful. But if you're not getting that credit, it feels different. And a lot of that's like ego driven, right? But it's something that I've noticed about myself. And at times, like, it's just like a thought that I've had to battle with, I still obviously love it, but the ego starts speaking up a little bit. Like, well, if you aren't getting the credit for hosting, does it really give you that same experience? And so anyway, that was kind of like a thought pattern that I had to like put to bed, just through recognizing and journaling on it and reminding myself this is just like part of the process, different experiments. And luckily we had some incredible people involved in the creative that brought it to life and got excellent feedback. But something that I noticed about myself. Wins. Yeah, I think what really resonates for me is doing interesting things and living life and documenting that versus like talking about shit, especially at this stage in life. And it felt good to kind of get out of my room and routine in New York and go, to the other side of the country and be meeting new people, producing an event. There's a balance between talking and doing. And it felt good this week to be out and about and pushing myself to, get uncomfortable and living life. I met a guy, Seb, who ironically set out to do 100 different things on his bucket list. And I've been thinking about this idea too of like a bucket list and crossing off things as I go, that are just like unique life experiences. It can be in the form of giving, or, unique parts of culture that maybe I haven't experienced, maybe athletic events that I want to participate in. And yeah, I think that to me is the attractive part of life, not like talking about it, but doing. And then just documenting it along the way. And slowly I feel like I'm getting to a place where that's building. But the front side of that is like building in dark, putting your head down. And it's just a balance that I think I'm trying to get a little bit more used to. On the win side, again, was this event Thursday night, feeling really good about it. We got great feedback, and yeah, it feels like this is definitely something that we'll continue pursuing. It's just like when it aligns creatively with a brand or a team of founders, working with them to bring experiences to life. We're cooking up some stuff for New York City Fall, hopefully. I think we'll be on our way, but some exciting stuff on that front. Eyes on. Got 2 this week. Double dose for you. Number 1, as I mentioned, running the New York City Marathon. Part of that, I've been getting into some different running brands. One that I'm on right now is called District Vision. 1, I love the look. It's like minimalistic, but 2, they focus on like mindfulness. And the founders, Tom and Max, I don't know directly, but they've been on a couple of podcasts where they've talked about how they landed on District Vision, and the brand itself is rooted in mindfulness. They had their own experiences through meditation and like trips to India to cultivate their own, I think 16 session mindfulness practice that ended up taking off. They did it alongside District Vision, and now like those 2 worlds have collided. But anyway, attention to detail for the brand is like superb. I think the glasses that they make are made in Japan, and anyway, it's like a really like well thought out brand that leans towards mindfulness. And so I like what I see. It is a little bit more pricey for sure, but a brand that I respect because the values that it's built upon resonate a lot. Last but not least, met a guy on Thursday night, a wonderful filmmaker, Ryan Fleming, that shot our dinner and the festival this weekend. When you meet somebody and it just immediately clicks, I could just tell from the moment meeting this guy that he had just like this beautiful energy about him. And I think in the world of creative, especially as a filmmaker, it's so important to have this inviting energy. I think half of the battle is letting people be their authentic self in front of a camera. And he did an excellent job, but also just had like the kindest energy. So Ryan Fleming, we'll tag him in the description. Check him out, and District Vision. Anyway, this is Off the Top, number 18. We're rocking and rolling. Got some guests coming on this month. Some virtual ones, which I'm experimenting with. During the summertime, I'm finding it's harder to coordinate a little bit with guests. So working on our mic situation on the virtual front. I know our last episode wasn't tip top. So we're moving, we're grooving, baby. And day 31, 20 minutes of meditation. Thursday night, it was 11:39, and we were still packing up. 20 minutes of like mindful breathing, but we're counting it. We got it, baby. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, and I hope you make someone's day. Ciao.